أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I don't have to ask you to repeat the salam. You did a good job, mashallah. I think you ate appetizers, which is good. Alhamdulillah. I want to begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for gathering. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I don't have to ask you to repeat the salam. You did a good job, mashallah. I think you ate appetizers, which is good. Alhamdulillah. I want to begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for gathering us. I asked Dr. Zakir, as I was driving in from the airport, I have my kafiyah with me. What's the mood? He said, well, 25% of whatever we fundraise tonight is actually going for the Palestinian relief, and so it'll be perfect, and I did wear it. I start there because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran reminds us of a verse that ultimately should give us guidance during this difficult time. And I want to begin there because I think the context of what we're going through can only be understood if we return to the guidance of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that الَّذِينَ قَالَ لَهُمُ النَّاسِ, that indeed the people said to them, إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ, that the people, the armies, have gathered against you. The closest that I can say of what's happening now is the shameless alignment of media, corporations, and governments against what is the actual truth on the ground. So that's who's gathered against us. But what did the people respond? Well, how do they respond? فَزَادَهُمْ إِيمَانًا. Their iman increased. In the face of that opposition, the iman increased. And then what did they say? قَالُوا حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ. You're not feeling it. حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ. حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ. And that should tell you that not a single policy, not a single United Nations security resolution, not a single human rights sort of aberration will ever be corrected unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills for it to happen. He caused the laws of physics to be literally turned on their head because Ibrahim alayhi salam, as a young man, corrected his community and said, you should not be worshipping idols. And they threw him into the largest possible fire ever created for that time because they wanted nothing left of him, no sign left of that way of life to which he was calling. And then the Prophet, peace upon him, taught us, he recited, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the fire to become what? A coolness for Ibrahim alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam and his followers are standing in front of a body of water. There is no speedboat coming. There is no navy. There are no marines coming to rescue them. It is literally them with the army of Pharaoh behind them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, show effort by striking the staff against this body of water. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causes the body of water to split to allow for the safe passage of the believers. So when we gather for events like this, we are bringing to mind that we are not a community that has been left without guidance. That every single masjid, and I can tell you, we have been documenting and following it. Dr. Ihsan Bagbi, an African-American scholar of Islamic studies, in the year 2000, studied the number of masajid in America, and they counted about 1,204. Must keep that number in mind. I'm a professor, I'm going to quiz you, it's almost finals time. In the year 2010, they went back, and they said, I wonder what happened. The September 11th attacks, and you in New York felt that much more than anywhere else in the world. The war on Afghanistan, the war on Iraq, all of the hell unleashed in Abu Ghraib and in Guantanamo and everything else, people thought maybe Muslims went under the radar and they said, no, don't be vocal, don't build any more masjids, just stay put, stay silent. And they said, let's go back and count how many masajid are there in 2010. Through your hard work, through the seeds that you have laid, and many of you are pioneers, you are badris of these communities. Some of you I spoke to today who said they arrived in the late 1960s when there wasn't a massive Muslim community in New York. When they went back in 2010, in 2000, how many did they count? See, this is the problem with the Ummah. Really? Yeah. So 1,204 about. They went back in 2010, there had been a 75% increase in the number of masajids and Islamic centers right here in these United States of America. Takbir! And this is the resolute conviction. This is the believer who says, I have nothing to fear because I have done nothing wrong. You can paint a picture of my religion, I will outlive that picture with the good deeds, the generosity, and the vocal and public display of my faith. Not as a public relations stunt, but as an actual salvation for the people of these United States of America. Because when Islam and Muslims succeed, all of society benefits. When we have strong families, all of society benefits. When we have strong communities, all of society benefits. And indeed, when we have strong neighborhoods, everyone wants to move in to a neighborhood where there are Muslims. This is our legacy. This is our history. So tonight, as we gather, we bring to mind the fact that we are talking about the 4th annual dinner of the Shelter Rock Islamic Center. Tonight, in parallel, in Northern Virginia, my community, the Adams Center, All Dulles Area Muslim Society, same banquet, 40th anniversary of that community. Now, does that mean there was nothing happening before 4 years ago? Absolutely not. You were struggling. You were looking around. You were saying, how can we have a place accessible to the rest of us? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned a building, a facility that was used by the Boy Scouts into a community of the Jewish community used as a synagogue. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had willed that today in 2023, a vibrant, active Muslim community led by Imam Nazrul and the board serves you day and night. Takbir! So when we gather to raise funds, Shaitan and his 70 associates enter the room and they start to remind you, come on, we're living a good life. Why do you want to let go of the money? And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the Lord who created us, the Lord who blessed us with everything, if I was to go around with this wireless microphone, there couldn't be a single person who says, I have no blessings for which I am grateful. In fact, the Quran says, you may not even be able to count the blessings of your Lord. You may not be able to count the blessings of your Lord. And so how does that relationship work? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ, say to them, إِنَّ رَبِّي يَبْسُطُ رِزْقًا لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Say to them, it is my Lord who expands the sustenance of whomever He wills. In this room, we have people, and I am one of them, who, do you remember where you were the night that you filed the application for the first apartment that you would have in the United States? Do you remember how you were begging to Allah, help the credit application be approved, Ya Rab, so we can have that apartment? Where have you come from that apartment? How many rooms are unused in the house now from that apartment? How many places, we've passed Thanksgiving, how many places do we have now where there's a fridge in the kitchen, the backup fridge in the basement, and then the freezer in the garage? All because of Costco and Sam's Club, because you just can't buy something small. you have to buy 50 of the Shobani yogurts, because that's what it is, right? And you have no khandan, you have no tribe, you just have 3 people in the house. But you bought 50 Shobani yogurts because it's on sale, and we have the fridge in the basement. This is the condition of the ummah. This is the condition of the ummah. So while we pause to grieve every single day for our Palestinian brothers and sisters, we cannot forget that our job now is not to call this a masjid, not to just say it's an Islamic center. It is the site. It is the site where the intergenerational transfer of faith is occurring in America. You have to believe that with every cell in your body. When you donate, you have to believe that the verse I recited, قُلْ إِنَّ رَبِّي يَبْسُطُ رِزْقًا لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ وَيَقْدِرُ لَهُ. He constricts it also. وَمَا أَنْفَقْتُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. Whatever you spend from what He gave you, He replaces it. Not a single person I've ever met after fundraising in this community or anywhere else said, I gave and nothing changed in my life. Again, if I walked around with the microphone, you will tell me stories. Maybe Allah didn't replace dollar for dollar. Maybe you gave 25,000 one time and it didn't come back as 25,000, but you found that the relationship between husband and wife, parents and children had improved. Sadaqah that you gave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused the replacement of negativity, toxicity to become respectful, love and meaningful. Your business was struggling, you gave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you with improvement and growth in your business, not necessarily through dollars, but through better networks and inshallah forthcoming contracts. Brothers and sisters, this religion of ours is the most beautiful religion on earth. And we don't say that just for the sake of, as a publicity stunt. No, it is absolutely true that in the Quran, this intergenerational transfer of faith is a concern of the Prophet. Which Prophet? Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Now who was he? I'm a professor, let me ask you before I actually begin the actual fundraising and then we let loose. Who was he? He is a prophet. He is the son of a prophet. He is the grandson of a prophet. He is the father of a prophet. He is going to die. The Quran says, come into the living area of Yaqub alayhi salam. This Shelter Rock Islamic Center is the site of the intergenerational transfer of faith. And you know what you're witness to? It didn't work for the community that had the synagogue. They couldn't sustain holding on to a community, so they sold it so that it would be worshipped by somebody else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذْ كُنْتُمْ شُهَدَاءَ إِذْ هَدَرَ يَعْقُوبَ الْمَوْتِ. Were you witnesses? Were you present when death approached Yaqub alayhi salam? Now a father on a deathbed, a parent on a deathbed. What is the concern? What will you ask your children? What will you say to the loved ones if Allah grants you an ending in that way? Too often, it's a text message. I'm so sorry. Dad is not with us anymore. I'm so sorry. Mom just left us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذْ كُنْتُمْ شُهَدَاءَ إِذْ حَضَرَ يَعْقُوبَ الْمَوْتِ. And he asked, what did he ask his children? He didn't say, did I leave you enough money? Did I give you a house enough? Did I take care of you? He said, and he is the father of a prophet, the son of a prophet, the grandson of a prophet. He said, who will you worship? I'm dying, but I am concerned about who you will worship. And we have to ask ourselves, are we firm enough? I am so grateful to know someone like Imam Nazrul overseeing not only the Masjid Islamic programming for the adults, but for the children. And the board giving him the authority to say, get it right. We have to get this right. We don't have another chance. This window is small. Why? Because the forces against us to disprove the message of Islam, to attempt to malign the teachings of Islam are huge and great. They're spending billions of dollars when we're raising just a few million to protect our civil rights and civil liberties, to work on mental health and counseling, to serve the refugees. and they have billions to malign our message. But as you are seeing in the narrative of Palestine, you are seeing that lies and hypocrisy will always fail. Will always fail, and they will run in every direction because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in charge. So tonight, bring and be present. Say to yourself, what is that blessing that I prayed for, that I made dua for? Where was I standing? What saf was I in? Was it in Ramadan? Was it an ordinary night? Was it on the 27th night? Was it an odd night? Where was I? And what dua did I make? And how did Allah answer my dua? When I donated, what changed in my life? When I give sadaqah and zakah, what changed in my life? And then go back and say, let me do it again and again and again. Why? Because alayhi salatu wasalam taught us through a hadith, a narrative by Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends 2 angels every morning to see which one of you is spending in the path of Allah. And the servant that spends in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels make dua.